More and more about nuclear exchange. You just heard a professor from Russia yesterday saying that if things keep going the way they are and Russia keeps being attacked the way they are, there may be a need for a limited nuclear attack. And there's no talk about peace, and there's only talk about war. And war has become the American way. No one talks about the Ukrainians killing over 14,000 people, the Russians in the Donbas region, because they didn't want to abide by the overthrow of the government in 2014. But don't worry, when all else fails, they take you to war. But we'll tell you what to do in case a nuclear bomb goes off. Yeah, this is my advice. Bend over and kiss your goodbye. Top stories is Ukraine's counteroffensive, a bloody mess. Is hardly being reported in the mainstream media. So the question is, will Kyiv go nuclear? And now we're hearing this more and more and more. Putin ally makes case for targeted nuclear strikes to end Ukraine war. New nuclear fears at that nuclear power plant after that dam attack. More and more they're talking about nuclear. Even Biden came out the other day and talked about nuclear. And they're brainwashing us with nuclear as well. These are from Business Insider, Business Outsider, where they just fired 10% of its staff because they're just putting up more crap that everybody else is. Did you see that train on that bridge that collapsed in Montana, and all the filthy crap in the train, or all the poisons went into the water? Oh, that hardly made the news. Who cares? Everywhere you drive, boom, 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 boom. The roads are rotting. The streets are filled with homeless. Crime is on the rise. The middle class is shrinking, but yet more money going into fighting this war. They had us hating the Russians all our lives. No one, again, people don't have a clue why the Ukraine war started, what caused it, and why the Russians launched their military operation. If a nuclear bomb is dropped on your city, here's what you should and shouldn't do to increase your chances of staying alive. Who the fuck you talking to? If a bomb drops on my city, I'm fucking dead. Oh no, I hid in a shelter and everything's fine, and I'll come out and then I'll go to the movies. I'll have a great time. This is the crap that they're shoving down our throat. You know why? Because they're all pieces of crap. That's why. These little slimeball presidents don't fight any war. They send others to go fight. These little clown boys, these arrogant little big mouths, couldn't fight their way out of a paper bag. Which is the biggest fighter? Oh, how about Richard Nixon? No, LBJ. Now there's a real man for you. How about Woodrow Wilson? Now there's a fighter. How about Franklin Roosevelt? Oh man, what a tough guy he was. Hey, how about the Nobel Peace of Crap Prize winner, Barack Obama? Now there's a real man that will fight. No, how about little Georgie Bush? They don't fight. They only send people to fight. I used to be on Hong Kong TV all the time. And I'm talking to the guy, interviewing me. He said, tell me what's going to go on. Mr. Celente, we're not stopping. We're not going to let the Chinese take over. 7.5 million people in the city of Hong Kong. Over 1 million were taken to the streets. Couldn't stop them. America, 332 million. You can't get 1 million to protest against war. All of a sudden, the COVID war happens. We declare an emergency, Security Act, no more protesting. And protests were going on all over the world. We wrote about it. They called it a pandemic in 2020 of March, when only a couple of thousand people died. And 99.91% of the people are still alive. There were protests in Algeria, in Lebanon, South Africa, Colombia, Peru, Chile, all over the world. Yellow vests, France. People taking to the streets in protest the lack of basic living standards, government corruption, crime. Violence. Lockdown, stay home. We'll make up any shit we want. I'm Anthony Fauci. I'm the World Health Organization. We called it a pandemic in March of 2020. When only a couple of thousand people were dead, they called it a pandemic. So I'm telling you this because they're going to do the same thing with war. This is part of the New World Disorder. Why do you think people are leaving their countries? Lack of basic living standards, crime, government corruption, violence, made worse by the sanctions that the United States and Europe put on Russia that have driven up the food prices all over the world and energy prices. So the people are suffering. This is just the beginning. Good boy Zelensky rejects peace talks. Let NATO fight. Russia is prepared, said the Russian, what's his name there, Lavrov. Russia is prepared for NATO to continue to fight Ukraine. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said this is after Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg rejected any moves to freeze the conflict. He said peace cannot mean freezing the conflict and accepting a deal that is dictated by Russia. And Germany came out and said that Russia is the biggest enemy right now. This is the Germany that killed 25 million Russians in Operation Barbarossa in World War II. This is the Germany that brought you the Holocaust. This is the Germany that brought you World War I and World War II. Oh, they're so peaceful, lovely, a great government. Since 2000 alone, the U.S. engaged in 30 interventions at level 4, usage of force, or 5, war. The post-Cold War era has produced fewer greater power conflicts and instances in which to defend vital U.S. interests, yet U.S. military interventions continue at high rates and higher hostilities, the authors explained of this report that just came out. The study found that over the past 2.5 centuries, 34% of U.S. interventions have been against countries in Latin America and the Caribbean, 23% in East Asia and the Pacific, 14% in the Middle East and North Africa, and 13% in Europe. What kind of country is this?